Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Dion's Daily Dose, Monday, July 13th. Good old 2020, right? Am I right? Oh, my goodness. What a year. What a year. So here we are, middle of July, and it just feels bizarre. The whole year feels bizarre, but I digress. So today I started knocking doors. Jack, good to see you. Out in Long Beach is where we started, because that was actually the book that we had started learning on. By book, I mean walk book. There's an app, and it like tracks where you go, where you knock doors, what the response was, stuff like that. I will tell you that people are very, very receptive. I was a little concerned about potentially going out there and how people would be on, their porch and showing up and blah, blah, blah. And people were very, very receptive to it. They were, once you get past the, who are you and why are you here, right? Once you get past that, people were very nice. They were like, well, awesome, thank you, and I told them who I was, and I'm running for state rep and blah, blah, blah. So for those of you out there, who are not sure if you can go out and knock doors yet, I had a good experience. So yeah, but I did bring a mask with me. I did have it in case they wanted me to wear it. It's their home. Regardless of how I feel about it, I'm going to honor their wishes. I personally, what I did was I knocked on the door. I backed up a good amount, right, to step well back. And then when people came to the door, I introduced myself, told them why I was there, etc. So let's talk about job creation and retention. One of the biggest factors for any company when they decide to invest in an area is the workforce. You have to have a quality workforce. You have to have people that are willing and able to show up on time. They have to have a reliable vehicle, or at least a reliable form of transportation, whether it is public transportation, whether it's Uber or whatever. I will tell you, Uber is not real prevalent in Michigan City. It's not reliable. There are not enough drivers. My buddy tried to do it, but there was no enough business. So I don't know how reliable that's going to be. One of the key components for any company when they decide to invest in an area, whether it's to build a new factory, upgrade existing, is, do we have a workforce that is going to be reliable and show up on time, do the job, not be ridiculous with demands, etc. Now, there are a lot of politicians out there that claim they're pro-union or anti or whatever. I think unions have done a lot of good. I worked at Indiana State Prison when we had a union, and I worked there after we did the union, and it was two very different experiences. I'm not going to get into all of that right now. Jack, that's a great point. Jack says, I think the word is viable. And that's a key, right? That's a key thing. One of the issues that I've seen here in Michigan City, at least, with companies that open Einstein Bagels, for example, they closed because of lack of quality employees. I think we need more training programs as far as how to fill out a job application. People are lacking life skills, and one of the issues I think that are out there is, where do you go to learn about this stuff? How do you get the help that you need if you don't know how to build a resume, know how to fill out an application properly, if you don't know how to interview properly? Because there are ways to interview that will put you head and shoulders above other people with the same qualifications you have. It just depends on how you come across. And these are all things that I would like to focus on. One of the things that are critical to attracting quality employers, not just in mass, right? Not just fast food, not just service based, but good quality careers to this area, is we have to have a workforce that these people want to hire. They want to invest. There are new industrial buildings and warehouses going up all over that are just to be leased, right? They're least available, but no one wants to actually create the industry to take them over. Why? Right? And that's why we're doing this. If you know of some ways that we can work together to get good quality careers in this area, I am all ears. I am personally very, invested in this area. My family lives here. My friends live here. Uh, I love Northwest Indiana. I think we have so much potential. And Jack brings up a great point. Too much entitlement, right? We ran into 30 years ago. Kids are told they're worth $10. We pay $5. In their heads, they declare they're only going to work 50% worth, which is actually 10%. You're right. That's the other thing. And in many, many places, it seems to be a conundrum, right? Where it comes to minimum wage and all that. And we'll talk about that in another show. But the big thing is, what represents a quality career for this area? What represents a good paying job, good benefits? Let's face it, the days of pensions are gone, right? And unless you work for the government, or police officer, firefighter, DOC, stuff like that. And it's one of the reasons why DOC is still a viable career path, is because it's one of the few places where pensions actually still exist. I think they have a lot harder time getting people. And to be fair, they're still having a hard time getting quality officers at Indiana State Prison. This was a couple of years back, which even then, mind blowing. But when I worked there, it was always a staff shortage, right? Staff shortage is one of the biggest issues there. But when it comes to new hire, Indiana State Prison is actually the home of a pilot program where they are actually allowing people to use their cell phone to go and check their social media periodically, because they had so many applicants that when they were told, no, you can't bring your phone in, your phone has to stay in your vehicle, these people would actually get up and walk out of the interview. They are so addicted to these devices, to these computers, to social media, that they cannot be without them for 12 hours. And that's a whole other topic. But DOC, Department of Corrections, is obviously, I have some experience with it. I worked there. I think it's a good career. And much like any law enforcement, the bad eggs are the ones that make the paper. 99% of the officers are good people. The 1% are the ones that are the front page of the papers and show us that not everyone is cut out for that type of work. And that's okay. That job's not for everyone, right? Uh, I will cover that job itself in more detail in a later episode. But let's look at what is needed from a workforce to make a company decide to invest. Because let's face it, these big buildings, especially new constructions, land upgrades, that all, right? It all costs a lot of money. And you're not going to put all of this money into creating a great paying job with good benefits if you're not going to have a viable workforce. Like Jack says, the word is viable. If you're not going to have a viable workforce, you're not going to invest all this money. And unfortunately, the reputation for this area is not the greatest as far as workforce goes. Now, I think we can overcome that. I think we can work together. I think we can get some exceptional job training, uh, application training, resume training. We can teach people how to go that next step and become a better employee. You know, people are like, why would I want to become a better employee? Because that's what gets you the good jobs. That's what gets you the career, the benefits, things like that. Uh, it isn't it isn't an easy fix though. It's really not. It isn't as simple as let's just sign some law and all of a sudden everybody's life is fixed. Um, let's look at a couple of the things for a quality workforce, right? I would say that the number one requirement to having a quality workforce is actually having people that care about their community, whether it's the city they live in, the neighborhood, the area, and improving it. If you are not invested in your area, if you don't care how your neighbor's house looks, if you don't care how the front of your house looks, if you don't care that there's six broken down vehicles in front of your house, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You're not going to be invested in wanting to improve anything. At the same time, it's your property. Shouldn't you be allowed to do what you want? Sure. But just like with everything else, there's give and take, right? There's ups, there's downs. I think it's important that we get people that want to make a place better. Uh, if you are a victim of circumstance, if you are kind of stuck, for lack of a better term, right? You don't make enough to move, you can't find a job anywhere else, you're making just enough to eke out a living. Are you really that worried about your community? Do you really want it to improve? No, you're more focused on survival, right? And that shows. That's why I think as a community, we should want people to be able to rise above where they're at, to get better employment, to get better jobs and benefits, and improve their lives and the lives of people around them. I think that's critically important. We want services, right? Now services are it's all infrastructure, right? It's police departments and fire departments and the water department. We want good, clean water. We want safe neighborhoods. We all want the same things. The various positions along the political spectrum have different ideas about how to get what we want, how to get to that end result. But ultimately, as a community, we all want neighborhoods, we want good schools, we want uh, to be able to walk out and take our trash out at whatever time without being afraid that we're going to be attacked or run down by a speeding vehicle that's intoxicated. These are all across the board things that I believe most, if not all, communities want. We just have to work together on making these things happen. We need to have services. We need to have job training programs. We need to have uh, less of a focus, I believe, on 4 year or 8 year college degrees, and more of a focus on the trades. More of a focus, and a lot of it comes right from at least my generation. When I was a kid, it seemed like most of the parents were, I want you to have a white collar job. I want you to have a white collar job. I want you to go to college. I want you to get that degree and work in an office and do this, do that. It's like blue collar was looked down on. And it's funny because now we have tons of good quality jobs in the trades and not so much good quality applicants to fill them. You know, one of the issues I believe that we're having is we have to have people that can pass a drug screen. That in Indiana, marijuana is still illegal. And it doesn't matter how widespread it is, doesn't matter that you can drive just, a couple of miles and go buy it. It's still illegal here, and jobs have the right, even in Illinois or Michigan or California or wherever, they have the right to insist that you are drug free. Doesn't matter legality. Just like they don't want you on the job drunk, they don't want you. Alcohol is legal, but if you show up to work drunk, you're going to lose your job. It's the same thing with other substances, and I am not one of those people that believes that every single thing about marijuana is bad. I believe there are some viable medical uses for it. However, in Indiana, it is still against the law, and you have to be able to pass a drug screen to get good quality trade jobs, good quality careers, and that's just the way it is. There are many areas of improvement that we can make happen, but I think just working together as a community, even in your neighborhood, right? Start focusing on making your life a little bit better and your next door neighbor, right? Uh, Jack says that's the other thing. 100 people apply, 50 fail the integrity test, the next 30 fail the drug test, the next 25 fail background check. You're absolutely right, Jack, and that's the other thing, right? That's a great. Uh, you got 100 applicants for one job, right? The integrity test that they give you, half fail that. You're not, yeah, we don't want you. Thanks for applying, right? Then you got, of the 50 that are left, you get 30 that fail the drug test. Unfortunately, you end up with a very few number of viable applicants. And these are things that we need to work on. Even if, and this is what a lot of people, I won't say a lot, but some people don't understand. Even if we were to across the board legalize marijuana, for example, right? Let's just say federally it was pulled from the substance. Now, personally, I would be in favor of that just because of the VA. The VA would then be able to prescribe it. But let's leave that aside. Let's say that happened and it was pulled from the controlled substance list. A company could still insist that you have a clean urinalysis in order as a condition of employment. It's a private company, So we have some work to do. We really do. We need to focus on teaching people, right? Teaching people that there's more to life than that short-term quick high, right? The short-term good boost feeling that you get from illicit drug use. And there are longer term things to think about. And Until we can do that, we're not going to get good, until we have a great workforce pool, we're not going to get great workforce employers. That's just the way it is. And Jack makes a good point. In his business, they have to pay for annual background checks. The expense of hiring makes it not worth trying to grow the business. And these are things that as a business, you have to think about. You have to think about, well, if I'm going to pay all this money in order to do annual background checks, that's money that comes out of operating expenses. Not to mention all the normal overhead from your structures, your insurance, your vehicles, all that stuff. Even Jack says, even the kid that mows the grass may have interaction with a customer. Insurance demands a background check, even for a 2-hour-a-week person, and that's exactly it. So we have a ways to go, but I believe we can get there. I believe we can work together with you, with me, with the community, in order to improve the workforce of District 9 and make it a desirable location for good quality employers. Let's take Tesla, for example. Tesla said, we're out of California, we're going, and he's going around, Musk is going around talking to various governors and mayors, places that he's thinking about moving to, right? Moving his factories. Let's say he picked Northwest Indiana. Let's just say that he picked Michigan City. Generally speaking, do you think there is a quality enough large workforce for Elon Musk to relocate to Michigan City? Realistically, think about that. I think we can make it happen. I think we can work on it. I think we can improve it. But the way things sit right now, we've got some work to do. And anything is possible with God, right? Anything is possible. But we have to put in some work too. We have to make things better. We have to work together. So Jack says too many lawsuits, too much lack of responsibility acceptance. I agree. And it's one reason why we have to improve the desirability before we can make actionability, right? So with that, thank you for joining me, and we're gonna go a little bit deeper down this rabbit hole and look at the ways that we can talk to each other, the things that we can make happen from a societal standpoint, whether it's at the city council, whether it's with the mayor, whether it's various organizations and groups, in order to put those programs out there to facilitate the brotherhood. And we're talking about brotherhood right now, and it's such a divisive thing. Every time you turn the TV on, there's just but I don't think it's a lost cause, and I think it's worth fighting for, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. I really, really do. So thank you very much for joining me. God bless you. God bless Indiana. And God bless the good old US of A.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers, Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.